I'm in charge now. Okay, no, you keep going.
And for tonight's main topic, we have Remi Doucet on to talk to us about the IPSC Canada National Handgun Championship that he just attended, as well as his shooting experience and a bunch of other stuff. Welcome, Remi.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And when I say attended, you didn't just attend the championship, you ended up being the #1 overall winner. So big congratulations on that.
Thank you very much.
Was that your first win for a nationals?
It was not. So this I've been at this game for long enough, I suppose. I took my black badge in 2009, so that gives you an idea.
2009, okay.
Yeah. This was, I believe, my quick math 8th nationals, I think.
Okay.
And I've actually won. This is my 4th win.
Nice.
Yes, and this is actually very special for me. Something I've been trying to attain for a long time. It is now a national title win in 3 different divisions. So production, standard, and open.
Yeah. So this was your first as an open shooter?
Correct.
Okay. And then previously you were shooting standard before that.
That's right.
Oh, very nice. That's definitely something.
Would you attribute your wins to like match prep and dedicated practice, or just having like smooth, like aerodynamic hairstyles like the rest of us here?
That's right. Yeah. No, I just close my eyes and pull the trigger. I get nervous, right? So, no, definitely a ton of practice, a ton of work. I mean, I'm sure I can talk to you about a length about it if you really want. So
yeah, I was gonna ask about that, but before we get into that and the actual nationals, you said you got your black badge in 2009.
right.
How did you actually get into shooting? Did you grow up with guns? Is this something you got into a little bit later in life?
So I've always essentially been around guns my whole life. My father was a hunter. An avid hunter, really. That was his passion. And not only that, he was an RCMP officer. So, guns of all kinds. Shotguns, rifles, everything. Even he'd let me see his service pistol sometimes, right? And I think as early as maybe 8 or 9 or 10 years old, right? I have a memory of him handing me like a small little 22 Cooey, and it's like, "Oh, we're gonna hunt rabbits today, there, son." I'm like, "Cool, let's go shoot stuff." And I've hunted with him from a very young age. And I always kind of did enjoy or like the idea of shooting pistols too. So, but it wasn't until I was maybe, shooting is definitely something that takes, time and money. So it wasn't until I was 25, I think, when I started really shooting pistols. I finally had a career and I'd finished education and all that. And so I was able to finally buy my own pistol. I joined a range and, just like everyone else, started just general handgun, start shooting on the line. And within, I think, less than a year of starting to do that, I had a coworker who he was doing IPSC. And he showed me a video of him shooting this sport. And I was like, as soon as I saw the video, I was like, "Oh my God, why aren't I doing this? It looks amazing." Right. So then it wasn't long after that black badge, and then the rest is history, I guess.
Yeah.
And then it became a big part of your life, obviously.
Yeah. I have never encountered another activity or sport that I've ever done that I was, I guess, this addicted to, I suppose, or enthralled with, right? It just keeps you coming back, right? It never ends. There's always a challenge because you're just battling against yourself, right? Like every stage, every match, like it's just, you can always do better. There's always something you can chase. It's kind of neat that way.
Oh, makes sense. Outside of IPSC, are you doing any other competitive shooting of any kind, or just casual?
For a little while, years ago, I think I dabbled in some IDPA, but I would say generally speaking, I always kind of stuck to IPSC. Like that was kind of always my main thing. I like everyone else too. I have shotguns, rifles, and I kind of play with those every now and then, but nothing with a competition mindset.
Okay. And so for the nationals, they were held in Selkirk, Manitoba, or at the Selkirk Range in Manitoba, correct?
That's right.
Okay. How was traveling to the match?
Traveling was fine. I mean, I flew in on I flew in, so I mean, I was kind of the easy way to go, right? I was lucky enough that I have some friends who were driving from Ottawa, um, where I live. So it's I was able to give them my guns and give them all of my equipment, so it made travel a whole lot easier, right?
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess when you're getting on a plane, you don't have to worry about that stuff. It's a little bit more in and out, right?
yeah. No, there's some friends from my club. I have to give a shout out to Yao, Jake, and Bob for helping me, transport to and from the range for that. So
Nice.
Probably a lot more reliable than Air Canada.
oh yeah, and I mean, well, you know what? One of the main reasons I was actually really happy that they were driving. I was able to give them my guns. Is just in light of sort of the political environment right now. Like if an airline loses my guns right now, I am beyond effed. Right, like I have no recourse. So and I have lost firearms before through airline travel in past years. Mind you, I always got them back like, a day or two later, but it's still uneasy, right? When that happens.
It's a stress you don't really need.
That's right. Especially going into something like nationals, like the last thing you want to worry about is, oh no, my guns are lost. Like, am I going to get them in time? And, so to speak. So,
Yeah, and then you're there, and yeah, you don't have your equipment with you. That's a pretty big deal. So
yeah. I mean, that being said, I mean, I would say the vast majority of people that flew with guns, like I didn't hear of any horror stories of them losing anything, but regardless, right?
okay. And what was that your first time at that range?
I'd been there before. 2018, I think Selkirk held the nationals there. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I shot standard that year.
So you're familiar with it then?
I was, yeah. So that was kind of nice, right? I think it's actually kind of a nice range. Like they got a fair amount of space and a good amount of bays. So
Was it at 45 minutes from downtown Winnipeg, I guess, in the airport?
it was about, I believe, 35 minutes or so. Like I didn't stay in Winnipeg. I was in an Airbnb a little bit further away, I think in Gimli. But for me, it was maybe 45 minutes away. So not that much more.
Not bad. Not bad.
Airbnbs are the way to go when you're shooting and you're like hauling in a bunch of like guns and gear into an Airbnb. No one's going to bat an eye, but walking around a hotel lobby or something like that with that kind of stuff, a little bit harder to do.
Yeah, and I mean not just that too, but I mean an Airbnb allows you to, like, I had a full kitchen, right? So I could actually cook proper meals. I mean, it's like you don't really want to just be eating restaurants and McDonald's or whatever have you, like the week of nationals, right? It doesn't the food you eat on the road is never as good as the food you can make yourself. So that's important.
So you're saying you have to eat like a champion? That's my problem.
It certainly can help you a lot.
You got a group of guys, you'd be a lot cheaper too than a hotel.
I would think so. Yeah. Like we were 3 in the Airbnb, so I think that was much cheaper.
Yeah.
Nice. And how was the actual match? Let's say the stages compared to other nationals or level 3s that you've done.
Yeah. So the stages. So yeah, like I said, I guess I arrived there I flew in on Tuesday. That was mainly for registration. And then right away, I went to the range to see the stages. I mean, they'd given the match booklet, I think like a month or maybe more before. But of course, it's like a hand-drawn sketch. So, I mean, even though you can't really tell like what is actually the layout or really how far targets are going to be. But I got there on Tuesday, and I noticed the stage style was more of a run and gun style. Like a lot of targets were really close. And so I'm kind of looking at this, kind of going like, oh no, like I feel like I'm at a disadvantage looking at this. I mean, just from what I identify as my own style, like I'm more accurate than I am fast on the trigger. So I tend to believe like my ideal shooting style is something that's a little bit more of like a technical match style. Good movement dynamics. Kind of some challenging shots, maybe more moving targets, what have you. So this was, I felt a little bit kind of at a disadvantage because certainly in open, right, there's a lot of guys that can press a trigger faster than I can. So I was kind of going, man, like this is going to be a hard one. But that being said, I mean, hey, that's nationals. That's just that's just how it is. I was, however, very lucky. I wasn't shooting nationals until Friday, Saturday. So I had some time. So checking out the stages Tuesday, and I was really lucky because through my, I'm sponsored with my local gun range, the RA Gun Club. And I have to give a shout out to Bob Gowie, who's the IPSC rep at the club too. He came down and shot the match as well, but he really helped me. He helped me secure a range near Gimli, and he actually brought down 400 rounds of ammo for me and some targets. So I was able to go to, on the Wednesday, I was able to go to that range and train for a day to kind of, like, after having seen the stages, right? So there was a bunch of targets that were certain target arrays and a lot of partials in that match, actually, too. Close partials, which can be very tricky, especially to shoot fast, I find. And so I kind of I had a chance to kind of put targets really close. And so, kind of hone my speed skills, if you will, right? To kind of just get my mind a little bit more in line with what the match is. Because I mean, I'm kind of guilty. Like when I train back at home, like a lot of the time I spend my time training things that are, maybe more distance shots or, more, harder transitions or maybe more crazier shit. Right. But sometimes I don't spend maybe enough time on just the simple things of just how to really machine gun a target, like from, essentially right in front of you. So that was good to be able to do. I think that did help me. Right. And then Thursday took it real easy. Kind of a calm before the storm type of thing. But and then Friday, Saturday, just put myself in the best mindset to be able to shoot the match then.
Nice. And weather-wise, how was it on the Friday, Saturday?
Friday had a little bit of rain, like not, kind of something in between a drizzle and like a very light rain. Okay. So just enough to be annoying, I would think, right? But nothing that was a showstopper, but certainly kind of added to a little more of the complexity, I guess. But nothing too bad, I guess. Saturday, I think, was pretty clear, so that was a good day.
Nice. Yeah, because it wrapped up on Saturday, and then you guys had a banquet the next day. No, or that evening.
The banquet was that evening, yeah. Okay. So we finished shooting. We were Saturday afternoon, so we finished. I think it was we finished fairly early, actually. It was around 4:00 or so. Okay. And banquet, I think, the doors opened at 6 and kind of went most of the evening.
Nice. Was a good turnout for that too?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, the venue was packed. I mean, there wasn't even enough. There wasn't enough chairs for everyone. Like there were some people that were standing. A lot of people. So nice. I don't know if there's more people that showed up than they expected, but still, big room.
It ended up being like close to 450 competitors, right? Plus all the match officials.
I would believe that, yeah.
Yeah. That was definitely a big event. And
yeah.
So when I ask you this, you can't answer as a humble Canadian. You have to give me the honest truth. When you go into a match like this, are you going in expecting to win? Is that what you're telling yourself? Or is it more, I'm going to just do my best and see what happens?
I'll tell you honestly, like I'm the kind of person that I really strive for the top. So okay. At a match like nationals, especially, I tell myself that, especially this match, like I show up to win. Like that's what I tell myself. And honestly, I think if you want to win a nationals or any major level 3, like that's the mentality you have to have, right? Because then if you are not telling yourself that, then you're maybe not pushing yourself hard enough. You're not like doing what's required to really make that a reality, right? You have to put yourself in that mindset. Like you show up to win. You want to be that guy. And so that's what I do for myself. I think at the matches that really resonate with me, you know, like when I try and go for provincials or nationals or any other major match that that really becomes the focus point of my summer, then, or my season anyways. That's what I tell myself. That's what I try and have.
Okay, I like that answer. And what are you affected at all by what's going on around you? Let's say you're somebody that you know, there's a few because there's a lot of top open shooters there, and you know who the competition is. Do you get affected? Are you watching them at all, or are you just in your own zone and you're not really worried about whether they crush the stage or not?
Yeah, I mean, first off, I got to say, Open is this year, especially Open was a stacked division. I mean, I was certainly humbled to see like how many good shooters there are in Open. And I guess I approach this now the same way for a long time now. Like I would say, I don't look at any match results as they're happening. And I tend to try, if I can, I try to ignore like what other shooters have been doing or what my direct competitors, or how they've done or whatnot. I go in, I shoot my own game. I don't look at any results, right? Even because there's, you know, Friday after day one, you know, they post partial results. I mean, I found out later after day one, like apparently I was kind of leading by a small margin after day one, right? But I didn't know that until the very end of the match. But I mean, had I known that, sometimes like knowing the results and kind of looking at that, like I don't think that's something that would really help me. If anything, it would just add more stress. Like, oh, okay, I'm leading. Well, that means I need to like still, you know, I'll just be thinking about that. And it's much better, in my opinion. And I guess I just find it works for me. I find it much better just to not pay attention to any of the results at all. I go to the match and I shoot my own game. I think about that way. I guess I not knowing anything else that's going around me, I always assume that someone is ahead of me. I always assume that you know, someone's shooting better than me, and so that means that every single stage I'm shooting, it focuses me to say, okay, well, I can't relax. I can't, you know, slack off. And like every stage is an opportunity to do the best that I can on that stage, right? To kind of maintain ahead of that sort of imaginary person that might be ahead of me, right?
Okay.
Which is kind of funny. I mean, a small story. At the very last stage I shot on day 2, right? I'm right as soon as I finished, right? A couple of my squad mates who had been actually watching the scores as they were kind of happening, they kind of came up to me and they kind of congratulated, like, congratulations, Remi. Like, we think you probably took it. And I'm kind of going like, what? You know, like I have no idea. Right. So I'm like, oh, now I want to see the results. Like, what's going on? Like, so it's just this, like, you know, operating in a bubble and then all of a sudden like dumbfounded that someone tells you information like that.
Well, I mean, if you looked at how everyone else was doing, like if you look at the overall, like you won 2 stages, but you're so consistent and you were so like in the top so consistently that you take the match, right? So if you looked at like how you did on every stage, you might think you're doing terrible, right? Even if you are doing really well.
Well, there was, well, thanks for that, by the way. I appreciate it. But I mean, my strategy going into nationals, having seen the stages and kind of knowing, I kind of tailored it to my strengths and weaknesses too, right? There were certainly some stages, mostly short courses that were, you know, a lot of targets were just, you know, right in front of you essentially, right? And it was those stages in particular, or some of them anyways, was a game of just how fast can you draw and pull the trigger and do a mag reload, right?
Yeah.
Those are stages where I just know that, I mean, yeah, I can certainly try and push a little harder and maybe win that stage, but at a potential high risk of making an error, right? If you get a miss on a stage like that, like even a 40 round course of fire, that's just like a blaster stage, and you get a miss, that's gonna hurt so hard, right? So the risk reward on a stage like that is, okay, maybe I can push a little more. If I win the stage, maybe I'll gain another 5 points over my competitors. But if I make a mistake, I could lose like 20 points or more. And then, so anyways, on those stages, I just kind of said, okay, I'm going to shoot still respectably, you know, trying to aim for maybe 85, 90% score on that stage. But I knew that my strengths are more on the field courses, right? I can kind of, I feel like I'm good with movement, and I try and optimize sort of, I find things in the field courses that help me kind of gain time on there to kind of be maybe a little bit more, gain a bit more points over my competitors in those areas. So that was kind of my game. And I guess I feel that kind of worked out, right? So to your point, right? I mean, I didn't win a lot of stages, but I guess I didn't have to too much, right? If you kind of stay.
Good consistency, right? Not too many blowouts. Did you have any stage blowouts?
As in like major errors?
Yeah.
I had one really crappy stage, to be honest. Yeah, that one that I'm really not happy about, but it was I don't know if you're familiar with the stage, but there was one where it was called parasailing. There's a big wall in front of you, and you're kind of on this platform where, like,
with the rope on each side.
Rope, yeah, there's like a 2x2. There's like a 2x2 foot area for shooting area. Anyways, a lot of the guys, I mean, you could either hang off the side and shoot strong hand, and then hang off the other side, shoot weak hand, or what a lot of the top guys did, they kind of hooked their foot to shoot the other side. Or to hook the foot on either side. You can do freestyle on both sides. That, of course, did end up being the faster way. But when I tried that and walked through, I tried kind of hooking my foot to do the lean on the left side, and I really found I was like, this is not stable enough, or I was, you know, the risk of falling off was really high, and it was like a procedure per shot fired if you fell off, essentially. So
ouch, yeah.
way too risky. So, but on the right side, I felt good. So when I shot freestyle on the right side to hook my foot. But I shot weak hand on the left side. When I went to go shoot weak hand on the left side, I feel like that kind of like I was slower, right, to begin with. And then when I shot weak hand on one of the targets, I lost my dot. And then kind of in the slight moment of panic, I couldn't find my dot, but I was thinking that, kind of worrying that, oh no, maybe something wrong is with my dot. Like as in like the battery or something is not working. And then I just took a chance. I took a shot. And then, of course, no, the dot was just low, and I whacked the penalty. And and then I was like, oh no, found my dot, like, you idiot. And then just, okay, fine, keep shooting. So just like one of those rookie mistakes where I was like, oh my God, like that no shoot is the only error really I did in the whole match. And like, it was a dumb mistake. So that's it.
And so after that, how quickly do you shake that off to go to the next stage?
Yeah, you know, and you're right. It is extremely important. You cannot, if you make a mistake like that, you have to just forget it. You have to move on. The next stage is like a new opportunity to do the best you can, right? Because that is very much a thing, right? So I've seen a lot of competitors, and I hear of a lot of competitors. Even at this match, I've heard of someone who made a mistake like that, and then the next like 2 stages, they continue to kind of shoot poorly as a result, because their mind is still thinking about the previous error, right? They're kind of like ruminating over it. Well, I just as quickly as possible put it on my mind. If anything, I kind of get mad at myself, right? I kind of go like, oh, as if I made that error. And then you kind of decide to make it up to yourself, right? On the next like 2-3 stages after, to kind of keep the match going strong, right? So
nice. You talked about some of the prep work you did, but leading up to the nationals, were you say dry firing, live firing a little bit more than you would for a regular L3 or a level 2 or?
Yeah, you know, this year and even the last year has been, in terms of training, has been interesting. So I guess I have to preface by saying that I have a family with 2 small children, right? I have a 2.5-year-old son and a 1-year-old daughter, so the family dynamics makes it hard to find time to go to the range. So the net result is actually, I've been shooting last year and this year, I've been shooting way less than I normally do. Or at least, it's been kind of decreasing just because trying to find, 2-3 hours to leave the family and go to the range is difficult, right? But you're right. I have been doing a lot of dry fire throughout most of the summer. I mean, I probably started around in May. Since the first big match, big L3 for me was around mid-June. So starting around about a month-ish before is when I really started to kind of get serious about my training. So that means dry fire every day, 20-30 minutes. And I try and make dry fire fun, right? Like I'm not just someone who sits there and does repetitions of a draw, a static, and a dot on the wall, right? I'll actually go to my garage. I'll put up targets. I'll actually make a stage, right? I'll make something of interest. I will practice movement. I'll practice entrance and exits. I'll practice my reloads. I'll practice, kind of try and do as much as I possibly can without actually shooting the gun. So, and really in dry fire, you can probably do at least, I would say about 90% of what you need to practice, you can do in dry fire. And if you're present in how you're pressing the trigger, and if you're really, what your grip needs to feel like and how pressing the trigger needs to feel, you can still get really good practice in dry fire. And then those times when I was able to shoot at the range, I would still have, maybe I on average maybe shoot once a week, sometimes more, sometimes less. But when I go to the range, I would often recreate what I was doing in dry fire, right? And then just kind of trying to marry that last 10% of the training that I couldn't do, right? The shooting component, try to marry it to whatever I was doing, and using that feedback from how I was shooting the gun and how the shots went on the target to then bring that back to dry fire and say, okay, like the way that I was holding the gun, okay, was that proper or not? Like, do I need to change anything? And then you just need to be really conscious and really present in every time you shoot, every time, every time you have a good shot, you kind of record that feeling of recoil and feeling of how your sights moved and everything. And you take that with you, and every time you're using that to improve both dry fire and live fire every time you do it. So that's kind of how it goes. And of course, nationals, speaking specifically in nationals, I guess there's two modes of training that you would do. So again, starting maybe about 3-4 weeks ahead of time, ideally. The first couple of weeks, maybe first 2 to 3 weeks, you're focusing on, I guess, what am I going to call it? Like pushing the envelope kind of training, right? You're training sometimes at failure points, right? You're going to say if you're training a swinger or something, well, you're going to practice how many shots can I get on a swinger in one pass or something, right? You're going to train to failure. How fast can I shoot a partial at whatever distance, right? It's okay in those circumstances to get misses, to get penalties, to get deltas, to get whatever, because you're trying to learn, and you do it in a bit of a 2-step forward, 1-step back approach, right? You kind of go balls out, if you will, right? Okay, fail. And then, okay, that's 2 steps forward, take 1 step back, all right? Now try and find where is the balance point that I can still get my shot, still get it representative. And with that approach, you're trying to push your skill. You're trying to make your old best your new normal, if you will.
Nice.
And then in the last, especially the last week of nationals, what you should be transitioning to then is consistency training. So, and that's what I did. So you're setting up stages and setting up different target arrays, different positions. You just put cones in the ground, or set up some walls, things to run to and from, right? And you're making stages, and you're making things. Okay, I'm going to run here, shoot these targets, run over there, shoot those targets, and you only give yourself one chance to do whatever you imagine. So, and if you screw it up, too bad. That's right. That you move on to the next thing. Okay, make up a different thing. And you keep on making it always new and always fresh. You don't do repetitions, because in a match setting, you don't get to do repetitions. With the consistency training, now you are forcing yourself to be, okay, how do I need to perform to be able to deliver on demand my best performance? And usually when you're doing consistency training, you'll now be trying to zero in on your, I'll call it your 90% skill, right? So if, so comparison to the 2-step, 1-step back approach, right? You might be training at 120% for failure, and then you kind of take a step back and you're trying to find out where 100% is and make that reliable. But now you're trying to shoot at 90%, means that 90% means that everything feels stable, right? You can 90% by definition should be, you could shoot something 10 times and get the same time and the same hits consistently. So that's what it's about.
Nice. And I wanted to ask you, so you went from production to standard to open. So from standard to open, going from irons to a dot, how long would you say that it took you to get comfortable, that you actually felt like you could compete at a high level, I guess?
Right. Transitioning from standard to open took longer than I had anticipated. It was, and I think that's just because that's kind of the nature of what open is. It is such a radically different division than I think any of the other divisions, to be honest. So, I mean, going from production to standard, I don't think it took me as long. I mean, probably I would normally maintain that, shoot about 5,000 rounds, and usually the gun starts to feel like part of your hand, or along with decent dry fire. But from standard to open, it was longer than that. It took me at least a year, if not a little bit more. And so, I mean, if you think about it, there's so much different about open. So open is you've got a compensator and a red dot, right? So those are big changes. Another aspect too, I guess I'll kind of back up a bit, like talking about sort of the 3 main divisions. I mean, production, it's all about what the main divisions, I think, want you to focus on and what they teach you. So production is all about, accuracy, teaching you how to get your alphas, right? Like making sure that you're good with your front sight, trigger pull, all that. Standard, when you go to standard, I think it teaches you how to have good fundamentals, right? Essentially how to hold the gun properly, because if you're not with major recoil and whatnot, if you are not holding that gun properly, it will eat you alive. It'll just, delta mic everywhere, and it'll just go everywhere. Your targets will start looking like shotgun patterns. But then going to open, it is, I think open teaches you how to be aggressive, right? Because now open is like you're driving Formula One, baby. It is like everything that could possibly make that gun operate faster, it's been done to it. And so, yeah, the compensators there. I mean, the gun essentially doesn't have any flip for the most part. So your splits and everything can be insane, right? You even have a gas pedal and stuff like that. So the gun is much better supported. And then the dot itself is a gigantic change, right, from iron sights. So the real strength of the dot is you have a very fast target acquisition and target transition with it, right? That's really what makes a dot fast. Because if you think about it, the dot is the amalgamation of your iron sights, right? Normally with production or standard or any iron sight gun, like you're going to, when you look on a target, okay, well, you're going to line up your sight picture. You're going to make sure your front sight's in the right place, and you'll pull the trigger. There's a certain time there. And also too, if you think about it, like you would never pull the trigger with iron sights, say if your front sight was in a weird place, like, way off to the left and almost obscured by like the rear left blade of your rear sight or something, right? But if the dot, being the amalgamation of that sight picture, still tells you that the dot's going to be in the right place in the right target, you just pull the trigger. And so your brain almost has to kind of get used to that. Like you just kind of, things happen so much quickly. You end up processing things so much faster. And you can that's what really allows you to be more aggressive with the gun. And those are kind of some of the dynamics that take longer to understand. It took me longer to understand anyways, before I was really able to unlock, I would say, the full potential of open. On top of just also having, reloading mags, the mag well's bigger, and, other little dynamics on the gun too, right? Everything's faster. And it's just everything around everything around like just doing everything faster. So for instance too, like say if you're shooting like a swinging target, right? Like you're hitting some piece of some activator steel. There's whatever static targets in between. You usually with any other division, you'll go activator, static target, and then the swinger. Well, with open, now you can get away with more, right? Now it becomes activator and sometimes 2 static targets in the swinger, right? That becomes now the norm because now the dot lets you do that. The compensator and the flip of the gun are much less, so it lets you do that as well, right? You can transition so much harder, you can do things so much more. And not only that, it comes to a point where if you are not doing that, you might actually get left behind because your competitors are going to do that. Right now there's a certain like norm baseline of aggression, if you will, that like is now expected in open, that it's not inherent in the other divisions. So doing that kind of thing, kind of learning to shoot at a faster pace, to learning to really take advantage as best I can about the transition speeds and the acquisition speeds, and really seeing how far you can go with it took some added time, right? Because I think that's just those are elements that you don't really see in other divisions, I find.
You mentioned when you were making the transition from irons to red dot. Just curious, on your irons, were you using front sight focus or target focus? Because that would have been a switch to your red dot as well, right? If you were using front sight focus, at least.
Correct. I mean, I was always a front sight focus kind of guy. Well, tell you what, this is sort of a half answer to that. So the short answer is yes, front sight all the time, right? Even on a close target. But in some circumstances, I would allow myself to have sort of a focus point in between the irons and the target, depending on the situation. But because usually it's just about seeing what your eyes. I find your eyes normally adjust to that, right? It becomes sort of an automatic brain thing. You always start out by trying to find your front sight, but sometimes you'll allow yourself to pull the trigger. Because I guess to back up a second, right? Like the normal way you transition or sight picture, you would look at the target, right? Drive your gun to, or drive your front sight to where it is. And then in that process, you're also bringing your focus point back to the front sight. In an ideal circumstance, you would wait for your complete focus to be on the front sight. But depending on the target distance, depending on what you're doing, in that process of, I guess, bringing your eyes from the target focus to the front sight focus, there can be a point in there where your brain says, okay, the sight picture is good enough. You might be, 75% the way there to being focused on your front sight, but your brain is saying that's already good enough. Like, I don't need to wait that last 25%. So you pull the trigger, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
I'm not saying that you should necessarily like train that, but that's something that I think your brain automatically does with practice, right? Like after a while, you just kind of start to see how much more you can get away with, right?
Okay. I think that's all my questions. Actually, I wanted to ask you. So, have you competed at a world event?
I have, yeah. I competed at one Worlds. 2017, I think it was, in France.
Okay. And are you planning to go to South Africa, I guess, in a few years?
Maybe.
Family depending, right?
Yeah, to be determined. I mean, let me put it this way. I am, because I believe next year's nationals will be the last nationals that will count for that ranking. Am I right? I think.
Sounds right, yeah.
Sounds about right. So I think I do plan on shooting nationals next year. So right now what I'm telling myself is that I'm leaving myself the option open to be able to go to South Africa.
Okay.
Right. But yes, kind of with a small family and whatnot, especially after having spent this entire season, my wife is really the true champion in all this, right? Helping me balance the kids, right? So if I start talking to her about World Shoot right now, she'll she'll just yell at me.
Yeah,
So,
and South Africa's a bit more of a commitment than going to Manitoba. So
yes, that's right. Well, I mean, I think she might just come with me at that point. That's probably going
I
to
would
be
think
the.
so, yeah.
I
She's
would
gonna be
say
like, "You're going to South
probably, yeah.
Africa. You're taking me with you." I'm like, "Okay,
It's a vacation. It's a family vacation.
that's yeah, exactly. It's how I
Yeah.
got to sell it."
There's some shooting in there.
Did you guys have any questions for Remi?
No, I mostly just
No.
wanted to get the target focus versus front sight focus because that's
Okay.
something I'm always arguing with Kelly about. So
Nice. That was great. Thanks so much for the insight and the Nationals recap. And it's awesome you came on with us tonight.
Yeah, it was great to be here. Thanks for having me.
yeah, thanks, Remi.
Thanks, Remi.
Cheers, guys.
Take care.
And now we're going to move on to the rest of the show. Oh, is he frozen? Is Remi frozen?
Still here.
No, he's not.
actually.
Oh, yeah,
No.
there you are.
Okay.
No, we're going to go move on with the rest of the show now.
Okay. So like,
Yeah,
me
thanks
to,
for coming on.
Sign off. Perfect.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks,
Bye, guys.
Remi.
Okay, later.
Welcome to Slamfire Radio, episode 520, recording live on Wednesday, August 16th. I'm one of your hosts, Mo.
I'm another one, Adriel.
And I'm another one, Kyle.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
Hello.
Evening.
Evening. Who wants to get us started? Adriel, why don't you tell us what you did in guns this week?
Yeah, mine's short, so why not? I did a maple seed. Like most weekends in the summer that I'll be doing. But this one was in Blind Man Valley, and it was that's kind of near Red Deer, so kind of like central Alberta. Nice little range, perfect. Actually, really well suited for maple seed. Like the size and the scope and everything was just excellent. So, yeah, good event. 2 people patched and a couple juniors and whatever. Great time. Camped out there, did the van camp thing overnight beforehand, which makes it a lot nicer for the morning because I wake up and the line's set up and all my gear's out of the van and it's underneath the shelter. It's ready to rock and roll, and it's all good. It's all really good. I was to have another one at Edson this weekend coming up, but we didn't have enough attendees registered, so we canceled that one. And so now I'm going to go camping. I'm going to go camping this weekend. I don't know where yet. Yeah. Maybe in the mountains, maybe somewhere close. Not really sure. And I need to mail a couple things. I still need to mail Richard his lower receiver. It's sitting on the counter next to me here. And I need to mail that back too. That one right there. That ran to you.
You're not going
a
to
box.
You're not going to keep it.
That's not an option. But yeah, it's very nice, but no, that's not an option. So
All right.
We get mailed off. But the high point, well, no, I probably won't actually go back up there. No, the high point won't go back up there.
No.
But
Well, you gotta show it
it'll be-
off.
that'll be my next project that I'm working on is dremeling the hell out of that thing to get those mags to fit. But
Wow.
Oh, your mic dropped out
anything
there.
else that's gun related. Did it? Am I
Yeah,
back?
Right now.
We lost you.
My internet just did something funky, so who knows what's going on. Anyways, I'll pass it on to someone else who has better internet. Kyle?
Hey, okay. So I stepped up my parts cleaning game. I went out and bought a sonic cleaner.
Nice.
So, and
How big?
I don't know why.
How big of a sonic cleaner did you get?
2.5 liter.
Okay.
Is it that little plastic one with the buttons on the top, or is it like one of the stainless steel like?
Oh no,
big
it's just the
fuck-off units.
plastic one, not the big
yeah.
industrial ones. Yeah.
I got that one. I got the little
Yeah.
plastic one.
Yeah, just bought it from Harbor Freight and tried it out. And I don't know why it's taken me so long to get one because I was pretty impressed by it.
Do you want to? Did you use a secondary container to put solvent in?
No.
So I'm gonna blow your freaking mind with how to like get this thing to clean, like the nastiest shit ever. But you take like a jar or something that's impermeable, you stick whatever you want to clean in there with nasty solvent, gasoline, whatever you want to put in there, and then you put that into the ultrasonic that just has water in it, right? So your ultrasonic doesn't have anything nasty in it. It's going to be easy to clean. There's this jar of like grossness that's in the middle. You hit it, the ultrasonic goes right through the jar or whatever, and it nukes whatever's in the middle there with solvent and with the ultrasonic. So it just basically obliterates whatever kind of crap you got on there.
Yeah.
And then you also don't have flash rust afterwards because the solvent won't cause flash rust, which I find the water does, because it, like the ultrasonic does such a good job of cleaning off like whatever metal that as soon as you take it out, you start getting that flash rust on there.
Oh, so you're not diluting your solution at all?
No, well, I like diesel.
I picked up the Lyman Turbo Sonic Cleaner stuff, and it's concentrated, so it wanted me to do it like 20-1 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to actually ask, how often do people change out their solution?
I think it depends how, like, what you've put it through it. These Tokarevs, when I first got them, they're like covered in cosmoline, and they had cosmoline like inside the action and inside like all the little like nooks and crannies. I couldn't be bothered cleaning that crap off. So in you go into the diesel in the jar, and then let the ultrasonic like attack it, and it did a hell of a job getting all that cosmoline out without having to scrub it and get like dental picks out to get all that crap out of there.
Yeah. I put my gas block through it, and I can adjust it now.
I got the threads, eh?
Yeah. And actually put my bolt and bolt carrier through it, and I don't think it's been that clean ever. And I've gone to town on bolt carrier before, and I don't know if it's ever been that clean. So yeah, definitely happy with that. And sorry, Tony, I got it at Princess Auto. Is that better?
Yeah, Princess Auto is our equivalent here.
Yeah.
It's not quite as magical, but it's pretty magical.
Yeah, it's after walking in, they're pretty darn close. In fact, actually, I'd say Princess Auto actually has more than Harbor Freight. So, other than that, so I did some work to my rifle. Got the new handguard put on there, and it was really nice. They actually sent some little shims for the barrel nut, so you can get that timed just right. And so yeah, that was nice. And liking the color combination, it feels good in the hand. And yeah, one thing though, stainless steel crush washers, hope you don't have to take your comp off and have to pull your gas block or anything, because once you tighten them on, I was actually scared I was threading the threads on my barrel, because it crushed down and it did not bounce back.
Huh.
Yeah, because I had some nice shiny stainless crush washers, and I thought, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. And yeah, no, I will never use one again.
Didn't even know it was an option.
Yeah, I found back, what was it, 2018, I found them down here, and they've just been sitting in my kit, just a bunch of parts sitting there. So when I put it together, I'm like, oh, I'll treat this rifle nice and put a new crush washer on. And yeah. But new handguard has a lot more space, so we'll get it out to the range and check it out. We're on YouTube tonight, otherwise I would grab my rifle. But yeah, I ended up replacing the gas tube as well. Just freshen it up right. I had a brand new one sitting here, so just replaced it, punched it out of the gas block and replaced it, because it was all older parts that I put on, older parts, used parts that I put on there before when I built it. So just trying to get it fresh, and then I can go deal and tune it afterwards. I got a bit of time before my next big match, so I have some time to play around with that. And then yeah, this weekend I have a USPSA match, so just a local one here in town.
Local one, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that is it for me.
All right. I had another non-shooting week, so no matches again. I'm gonna I'm gonna do one not this weekend, the weekend after, and then I'll have to start getting ready for it. Do a little bit of practice and stuff because I haven't done anything at all. I was just checking out on YouTube. I was checking out a lot of videos from the IPSC Canada National Handgun Championship, which is part of our main topic tonight. So I was just like checking out the stages because that took place in Selkirk, the Selkirk Range in Manitoba. I guess not too far from Winnipeg. And really, that's it. But I'm looking forward to getting back to shooting. I miss it as much as I get frustrated that I don't do better. I still miss just being out there. So that's that. We will get into upcoming events. I think there were more Maple Seed dates posted. I'm pretty sure I saw an email come through.
Yeah, sent out an email. We had what was in there? Chilliwack opened up in BC, and then we had a couple in Alberta. The Kananaskis one opened up. It's rapidly filling up. It's probably full by now, but that one opened up, and then we've got Fort McMurray. Chaz has a couple spots in September. I think that covers all of Alberta. There was one more in there, maybe New Brunswick or Nova Scotia or something like that.
Okay. And they can check it out at mapleseedrifleman.com.
Yep.
Okay. ELGC is hosting the 4th annual Lane Leonard Memorial Outlaw Match. Main event Sunday, August 27th. Start time 9:30 a.m. And you can find that on Practice Score.
Where's ELGC? Is that like Ontario?
That is an excellent question.
It's Ontario. Sundridge, Ontario. We get so used to using like the short versions of our club names, like Chaz or SBFGA, and it's like, ELGC is hosting. It's like, where's that?
It's like around the corner from you. Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you're in Ontario practically. It's next door, right?
Yeah. So I guess the PCFGA range, is hosting a 3-gun match on August 19th. So that's going to be this weekend. I guess starts set up at 6 p.m. Friday. And that's not on Practice Score. I learned last week, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah,
that's correct. Okay. And the ORA has upcoming events that you can check out on Practice Score. In the news, I guess there's no major stories, good or bad, but the TACCOM event is coming up in beginning of September. I guess tickets have been on sale for a while. And we'll get into new gun stuff brought to you by Bullseye North. Need a new boomstick? Bullseye North is Canada's shooting superstore and a proud supporter of the CCFR with a wide selection of guns and top 10 trending gear for any shooter. Free shipping over $200. Some exclusions apply, like ammo. Subscribe to their weekly newsletter to get first access to the hottest deals.
Cool. Let me get my screen ready here. Present. Share screen. This one. Am I going bottom up? Probably. Pop over to Bullseye. So Bullseye right now, they have 11 different kinds of BCL rifle models available with free shipping. They have the SRV2 Siberian. They got the TRX Bronco. That's that crazy bolt action one they've got in 308. Okay. And they've got the MRX Bison, which is in 5.56. And they've got a bunch of other kinds. So I'm going to take a look at one of those. They got that. Looking for like kind of like a bang around, like a quad gun, something that you can just kind of take, grouse hunting and, just like hit it off trees and that kind of thing. Calgary Shooting Center. They've got some Krieghoff. I haven't heard of this name before. It's probably
Krieghoff. Oh,
Turkish.
Yeah,
it's probably Turkish.
Yeah, they're
right?
They're a nice quad gun. Yeah.
Nice quad gun. Yeah, this is pretty much on the same quality as like a Charles Valley.
For that price, are you getting a mid-size sedan to come with it, or
No, you know as well as we do that that mid-sized sedans are much more expensive than that
Yes,
right
they
now. Yeah, no, this gets you a used one that's miled out. That's got like 200,000 kilometers on it.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, Calgary Shooting Center has some Krieghoff shotguns if you're into fine things and
Very fine.
What was that
payment
price?
plans.
Yeah, what was the price
Financing?
on that bottom one? I just
Oh, this is a
Oh,
single
13.
shot rifle though.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
13 grand. It's a single shot. That's like your beginner,
Oh,
your
yeah.
bargain,
yeah.
Bargain.
value priced
Oh,
one.
it's like
Yeah.
a cooey, basically.
Oh, 7mm Rem mag in 6.5 pounds. This thing's gonna obliterate your shoulder. Oh, ugh. Yeah, it's gonna have some recoil.
Yeah.
Gonna have some recoil. Speaking of fine things, they also have Desert Tech. So if you're looking the Desert Tech SRS M2, they have it in standard covert. Covert's got a shorter barrel on it. It's like a bullpup rifle. They're right around $5,800. This is just the chassis. This is just the chassis.
No, is that
No.
just
SRS rifles and convert. It says standard.
there's
chassis.
I don't
Maybe
see,
it's a full
yeah,
rifle.
I don't
Where's
see
the
an
barrel?
action in there. There's no action in there.
There's no action in there. This is just the chassis. So you're gonna have to like
So
get
another
bolt
bush gun. Another just quad
Yeah.
dent special, yeah.
Half MOA guarantee. All rifles and conversion kits are guaranteed to shoot half MOA or better. Multi-caliber, I guess so, since it's just the stock. I think it's just the stock. Chassis. I don't see like a rifle there.
A complete rifle. No.
Okay.
Maybe they have one in the next one here. Oh, there we
there-
go. There's a conversion kit.
So
2,500.
2,500.
So you're up to 8K.
Well, you need like the rest of it too.
Yeah, like that's that. Yeah, you still need a receiver.
Plus.
Looks
Plus.
Yeah. Anywho, those are fancy.
Yep.
And not something we typically cover. Here's something maybe a little bit more approachable. SFRC has got some Bushnells on sale right now. There's a bunch of Bushnells that are that have a 25% mail-in rebate. So any Bushnell rifle scope or laser rangefinder from August 15th to September 15th. So that's on now. Let's buy now, get 25% off the purchase price of any Bushnell trail camera as well. So looks like they're moving some product ahead of hunting season. If you're looking for something with a decent sale. I Run Guns has the. I seem to be picking a lot of very expensive firearms this week, but
So
have-
unlike you, Adriel.
Well, this isn't bad. $2,000.
US. 2,800 Canadian. I Run Guns has got the CZ Bren 2 MSs in 7.62x39 with 9-inch barrels. Whoa! That shit's gonna bark.
Why wouldn't you just get
Get
Mm.
what?
the
Something with a longer
non-restricted version for the same price? Besides,
They
it
don't
looks-
have them. Where are you
Yeah.
going to find one of those? Where are you going to find? Where's this mystical non-restricted CZ Bren 2 in 7.62x39? They don't even have them. There's none up here.
I guess 7.62x39. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all being converted, so
Yeah.
you can't find these things unless they're a conversion, and those have a waiting list on them.
Did you guys
And
have
it
an
costs
order
more.
from I Run Guns?
Oh yeah, they're actually in
Yeah.
Sherwood Park. They're like really close to where I live.
Okay.
Rangeview has primers.
Ooh.
Would you look at that? Small pistol, small rifle magnum, small pistol magnum, no large rifle, federal gold medal, 6.5 Creedmoor once fired, small rifle primer brass. I didn't know you could buy once fired primers. Is this just brass? What is this? What am I looking at? I'm looking at
Just
6.5
the
Creedmoor.
brass.
That's just the brass.
Yeah.
I'm not paying $10 for brass. Anyway,
For 10 rounds of brass.
but yeah, I mean, like on sale, I should be able to get that stuff for like $35 for a box of like 20, right? So why would I pay $10 just for the brass? Anywho, maybe I shouldn't be just
Okay.
randomly stating that kind of thing.
All right, that was the pricier edition of new gun stuff. Okay, we'll get into listener feedback. We have one email, which I will read. Am I coming through? Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
No. Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you just fine, Mo.
Okay, sorry, I was thrown off. So the
That's what
email.
I was trying to.
Okay. I'm a longtime listener, and I find myself skipping through what we did in guns and guests when it deals with solely American content. Having Kyle talk about his experiences in the US and the new pistols and ARs he is buying is irrelevant to the majority of Canadian shooters. I think it's great he made the move and is shooting great matches. However, having him talk about and having American guests on talking about US 3-gun competitions is not something relevant to Canadian shooters anymore. Hey, I might be wrong and it's your show. Just thought I'd pass along my thoughts. I'm looking forward to more Canadian content and guests. Thanks, John D.
Now you'll be happy about today's show. But my thoughts on this is the 3-gun guy we had on, that match came from the original 3-gun match. So like there's some like history to that match that was kind of interesting. And in terms of like we had a run and gun guy on, right? And that style of match is starting to gain in popularity, and I'd imagine we're going to start seeing that up in Canada. So like there's going to be some stuff where it's like America's going to have it 5 or 10 years before we are, and I want to see what's new and cool and coming down the pipe.
Yeah.
No, I'll comment on it too. Like, so yeah, the tactical games. Somebody wants to bring them to Canada. You can. Like, it's not like it's not relevant to Canada. You can do that in Canada. As far as like Rocky Mountain 3-gun, like I'm guessing that's the match he's talking about with the 3-gun, because it may sound like that's all we talk about, but that one, there's still Canadians who travel down here for matches all the time, and there are people who travel from Canada with Canadian guns to shoot said matches. So bringing some matches to the view that if somebody wants to travel and is looking, hey, I want to travel, it's a long ways to travel, what match am I going to go to? Bring some insight on some of these matches. I do agree. It's not a US podcast, but just, I mean, a major match down here and people want to know what they're getting into. I think it's only fair to put that out every now and then.
Yeah.
I live vicariously through you too when you're talking about like your tourist sub-content. Like that has no bearing on what we can do in Canada. But I still want to know about it.
I can understand the frustration, absolutely, hearing me talk about that stuff. Absolutely. I wish I could figure out a way to not make it sound like I'm trying to rub it in people's faces. So I'm not. I'm not trying to rub it in people's faces or make people jealous at all. The segment's called What I Did with Guns, and that's what I'm doing in guns. So I mean, you're muted, Adriel.
Said you're still making me jealous though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
whether you're trying to or not. But I mean we try, we do our best to get a lot of like Canadian stores, manufacturers, shooters, like tonight's main topic guest, definitely a Canadian. And but then I mean, we're all into firearms, and when it comes to consuming information about firearms, there's so much content, way more content out of the US, like in terms of YouTube channels, and there's just, it's almost like if you were just going to stick to the Canadian stuff, there's just not enough. But I mean, we're trying to put out more, but
well, and I view it like, first off, I should say, like, thank you very much for the email, and I'm trying to be respectful in the response, but respectfully, I do disagree with what he's saying in the email. But like, there's such a vast, like you were saying, Mo, vast difference in sports, like shooting sports down here, and bigger, way bigger. I mean, you were talking 450 people at IPSC Nationals. You get more than that in a single division nationals down here.
Yeah. Well,
right? Like they have to split them up, that they're completely different matches for production or whatever. And so I think there's something that Canadians could learn, and myself was included in that when I was doing matches, trying to learn from the people who putting on these big matches. And I think there's something to be learned. And like I said, with the travel and just finding some place to go and encouragement that you can go and it's worth it.
You just continually encouraging Canadians to go down south.
Absolutely.
Every week.
Absolutely.
Our current government is encouraging us to go. But anyway, so we'll move on
No,
from
the
that.
government's pushing. The government's pushing. I'm saying I'm welcoming.
What's the temperature there? Is it triple digits? Has it been triple digits for months?
Yes, it is. It is right now. It's 97 degrees right now. Right before we started the show, it was 100. So
Yeah, I'll pass on that.
but it's been 9. It'll be 90s till we were looking probably middle of September.
90
gonna start
Celsius
slowly.
sounds really hot. This Canadian show. I don't do Fahrenheit.
I'm definitely not doing a maple seed there. That's for sure. So.
Yeah, in the winter.
Yeah,
All right, but we appreciate the letter for sure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And thank you for listening. Kyle, do we have anything for YouTube?
Yes, we do. It was from last week's episode, Rocky Mountain 3 Gun, from R. Boynes, which I believe this was Rich, and he was cabin mate, another RO there, and he said, Kyle, it was great meeting you at RM3G. See you there next year. And absolutely, Rich. It's good meeting with you and talking with you, and we'll definitely see you next year.
Cool.
And yeah, that was it for YouTube.
All right. If you go to our lovely website, slamfireradio.com, you'll find a Cabela's link. If you use the link to make a purchase, it helps to support the show. And then once a month, we will talk about the stuff that's been bought. And also, you can support the show through Patreon and Player. We would appreciate that. If you'd like to email the show and we'll read your letter on live, you can do so at slamfireradio@gmail.com. I think we covered all the other messages that what is
Yeah, I didn't see anything through Facebook or Instagram. So
Yeah.
well,
It's
Russ,
summer. Everyone's
Russ
camping and
says
shooting.
Russ says I don't worry about American stuff because it's all about the shooting sports. Yeah.
yeah, and 604 Corey on Player saying he's just butthurt because you're in Freedomville and he's missing out.
I'm butthurt.
Yeah, me too. It's mutual. I think that's it. Shout outs tonight, guys.
I'd like to shout out my Beatles IITs from the last Maple Seed. I know who they are.
Kyle?
I know I don't have anything for this week.
Okay. My shout out is to Remi, who was our main topic guest. I thought he gave some really great insight in what it takes, I guess, to get to his level, right? The thought process and how he game plans and how he, I wish. Sorry, go ahead.
I thought his breakdown of the divisions, like when he was talking production, you learn your trigger control and your accuracy, and then standard, and then go into open. I hadn't heard the divisions broken down in quite that way before. Which
it was
cool.
pretty deep stuff, huh?
Yeah.
It's got like meta analysis over top of everything.
Yeah.
Production's all about accuracy, and then open's all about like how aggressive, like that.
Yeah.
That I have heard before is like you have to be really aggressive because the gun lets you do so much, so you have to be. Like,
Oh yeah.
try,
Yeah,
like,
you're
shoot
got to
from
be
the-
on the bitter edge.
Yeah.
All right. So join us on our Discord server. Watch us on Facebook, YouTube, and Player. Join the CCFR, which is really, really important for the cause. And see you next week. Good night, everybody.
Good night.